Good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted you have taken the time to join us today for this info session on our sub-granting scheme for the Daphne CHILD program. We have over 200 attendees and almost 400 people registered for today's session. My name is Agata D'Addato. I'm head of programs of EuroChild. EuroChild is the largest European network of organizations and individuals advocating for children's rights in Europe. I'm the program lead for our Daphne CHILD program, and I'm here with my colleague Ciaran O'Donnell, our civil society support lead for Daphne CHILD. On behalf of myself, of Ciaran, a warm welcome to all of you. Over the next hour, we hope you will gain a clear picture of what our Daphne CHILD program is all about, and hopefully you will get some helpful information on whether or not your organization may be eligible to apply for sub-granting. Before I get started, I'd like to share some brief housekeeping information. We have interpretation today available in 4 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Ukrainian, and Romanian. Please select the interpretation language in the bottom of your control panel, and then make sure that you mute the original audio so you can hear the translated text. You'll also see that we have a Q&A button in the control panel, and that would be the place for you to ask your questions. So please, you should use the Q&A and not the chat function for your questions about the call. And we will have enough time after the presentation to really go deep into the Q&A. Ciaran and myself will try to answer your questions in real time. Otherwise, we will take note of your comments and questions and address them later. We will also publish the questions and answers afterwards on the project website. So you will have the answers in writing available soon after, after the webinar on the project website. And we will also make sure that these slides will be available for you as well on the website. For your information, this event is also being recorded, and recordings in multiple languages will be made available afterwards on the project website. This will enable us to make it available for colleagues who have expressed an interest in the Daphne CHILD program, but for some reasons cannot be with us today. All who registered will receive indeed a follow-up email with the recording link. Now, let's begin. Let me start by introducing our partner organization in this program, Terre des Hommes Lausanne Foundation. As part of the Terre des Hommes family, Terre des Hommes Hungary also operates as a regional hub, providing expertise and guidance for Terre des Hommes operations across Europe while developing regional projects. I'd also like to acknowledge the European Commission for funding through the Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values program and make this work possible. The aim of this session is to better understand Daphne CHILD's approach and vision and learn about this new funding call to support the civil society organizations working in the field of violence against children. We will discuss eligibility criteria. We will look at some examples of activities that can be funded, and we will provide you with an opportunity to meet the leads in the European civil society organizations managing this program, EuroChild and Terre des Hommes. In May this year, EuroChild and Terre des Hommes Lausanne Foundation have launched the Daphne CHILD. Daphne CHILD is a 3-year sub-granting and capacity building program to contribute to the empowerment of civil society organizations working in the field of tackling violence against children, and to promote child protection services across Europe, taking into account children's opinions. So in terms of duration, the program was launched in May 2024 and will close end of April 2027. Here, in this slide, we outline our approach and vision to address violence against children across our 9 countries of action, which are Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Spain, and Ukraine. Our grants are limited and are not intended to completely address systems and forms of violence. However, by providing grants, building capacities, and develop networks, and ensuring children's voices are meaningfully involved in the activities we support, we really want to demonstrate that a more integrated approach to child protection is possible. This is timely, as the European Union is looking to support countries more in this area in the coming years, and we aim to inform that work. For clear definitions around violence against children in this program, we have developed a glossary to guide applicants, and the glossary is available on the website, and the link is made available in the following slides as well. What do we want to achieve with Daphne CHILD? We want to fund grassroots organizations to carry out projects helping children affected by violence. These projects need to include children's views in their design and or help create more child-friendly services. Across the program's life cycle, we will sub-grant 1.3 million euros. Secondly, we will also provide trainings and peer learning and exchange for selected organizations with the aim of building the capacity of participating civil society organizations and facilitate their empowerment. We will also collect all the information and good practices in one online hub so that we can support the work of grassroots organizations. And fourthly, we will use the evidence and experiences of organizations involved in this program to inform EU decision-making and policies on violence against children. Now, in relation to who we want to support, I would like to emphasize that we wish to support small, local-level civil society organizations working directly with children growing up in marginalized circumstances. In particular, children in alternative care, children in socio-economically disadvantaged situations, children with disabilities, Roma children, asylum-seeking children, and children in minority groups. What are the benefits for participating civil society organizations? Firstly, the funding amounts, of course. Each applicant can submit a project proposal with a total budget between 10,000 and 30,000 euros. Secondly, increasing organization capacity in developing and implementing projects addressing violence against children. Thirdly, strengthening the capacity of meaningfully engage with children. And fourthly, the capacity building program. The project has been really designed in a manner that maximizes the opportunities for cross-European learning. It has a huge potential to foster cross-border cooperation among the selected European countries and foster peer-to-peer exchange and support. Lastly, evidence and experiences of civil society organizations involved in the program will inform Eurochild's works and the EU's ongoing work around issuing recommendations for integrated child protection systems for EU member states. Participating civil society organizations will have the opportunity to share their aspirations and ideas with high-level European and national policymakers in the program's final event in Brussels, sometimes in April 2027. We are very, very grateful for the support of our national focal points in the 9 Daphne CHILD target countries. We have appointed national focal points, which are either Eurochild member organizations or terre des hommes country offices. They have been identified to have the capacity to effectively reach out to civil society organizations in their countries, leveraging their existing roles either as a national or regional network for children's rights organizations or as a leading children's rights organizations in their country. And you might have already been in touch with some of our national focal points in some of the selected countries. Let me introduce now each organization. In Bulgaria, we have the National Network for Children and an alliance of civil society organizations and supporters working with and for children and families. In Ireland, we have the Child Rights Alliance, an independent NGO uniting over 150 members to influence government to put children and young people first. In Portugal, the Fundación Nossa Senhora of Bom Sucesso is a health and human development organization focusing on the health of children and women. In Romania, we have Step by Step, a Romanian NGO advocating for quality early education through teaching, through teacher training, educational resources, and implementation of child-centered teaching methods. In Serbia, we have MODS, the Network of Organizations for Children of Serbia, and National Network for Serbian Civil Society Organizations, focused on children's rights, protection, and development. In Spain, FEDAIA, a federation representing over 100 organizations that provide care, education, and social services across Spain. And then we have Ukraine, Terre des Hommes, country office, Greece, Terre des Hommes, and Hungary, Terre des Hommes. A big, big welcome to those who are here with us today. Now, let's really look at the application process in detail and at our approach to funding, which is made of 2 stages. This is very important to highlight. The first stage requires applicants to submit an online expression of interest by 14th of November. This expression of interest should be written in an acceptable language in English or in the national language of one of the 9 target countries. You will see that initially it's a simplified online application form, really to help identify if your proposal is a good fit and not waste really your time on a lengthy proposal creation. That's really our intention. As previously said, expression of interest written in English are welcome, but please note that they are also welcome in the national language of the targeted countries if needed. So Bulgarian, Greek, Hungarian, Portuguese, Romanian, Serbian, Spanish, and Ukrainian. What you will need to submit. You are requested to submit, you are requested to outline the project idea, its objectives, its relevance to the call, the presence of a child protection policy, and you will be encouraged to provide some details on children's participation in the project. You'll also need to include a declaration of financial reliability and your national registration number. Eurochild technical support is on hand for any questions, and I'll remind you the contact details later on. And behind the technical support, there is ciaran.odonnell, my colleague, that will reply to the questions also later on. Once you submit an expression of interest, what comes next? So Eurochild will review the expression of interest. Organizations that align with the Daphne CHILD's objectives will be notified by the 26th of November and will be invited to proceed to the second stage. We are talking here about shortlisted applicants who will need to submit an online full application by the 3rd January 2025. This invitation will be sent to approximately 90 projects. Being invited to submit a full proposal does not guarantee funding. We aim to provide funding to at least 45 organizations, a minimum of 5 projects in each of the 9 countries involved in the program. In the full application form, applicants will be requested to include a detailed budget and sharing organizational details, for example, annual reports from the last 2 years. An advisory board has been established by Eurochild and Terre des Hommes to ensure an objective selection of funded projects. The advisory board will review full proposals based on agreed criteria related to operational capacity, quality, and budget. And these criteria will also be consulted with representatives from Eurochild Children's Council. Advice will be sought from national focal points to inform the assessment. Successful applicants will be informed in late February 2025. The Eurochild Child Participation Team will assess the child protection policy and safeguarding procedures of each organization selected for funding. Once the assessment is complete, a sub-granting agreement will be signed and funds will be disbursed. Funded activities will commence in April 2025 or as soon as the sub-granting agreement is signed with Eurochild. Let's now move into the specifics of the call for proposals. Let me also remind you that applicants should make sure to read both the call for proposals, which is available in different languages for each target country on website, and the full operational manual for sub-granting, which is also available on the website in English. And this operational manual includes a glossary of terms related to violence against children, as they are intended in the Daphne CHILD program. In order to be eligible for this call, what the applying organizations need? They need to be registered in their country as a non-profit and be a civil society organization in one of the target countries: Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Spain, or Ukraine. They need to work directly with children at community level. Thirdly, they need to be directly involved in the design and implementation of the project activities. And, they need to respect the EU values as laid down in the European Union Treaty and the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. Now, I wish to emphasize that we are prioritizing smaller and local level organizations working to prevent and combat violence against children who may not be traditionally able to apply for EU funding. We welcome, for this reason, organizations employing no more than 11 full-time equivalent people. But please note that organizations working at local level who are part of larger national organizations are also welcome, as we do not wish to prevent local or community-based branches of organizations from applying for funding. Please note that the review committee reserves the right to make reasonable change to this requirement around the number of full-time employees. So, to conclude, organizations working locally are encouraged to submit an expression of interest independently from the number of full-time employees. Now, let's look at some examples of activities that can be funded. We are talking about projects related to the prevention and protection of children from violence, capacity building, awareness-raising activities, and initiatives that involve children's meaningful participation. We expect to fund projects delivering the following types of activities. For example, activities targeting the prevention of any forms of violence against children and the protection of those children who have been exposed to violence. Activities that build capacities and foster participation, ownership, and knowledge of professionals and children themselves, for instance, through multidisciplinary groups working with children or sessions co-created with children themselves. We can imagine awareness-raising activities on topics related to violence against children, organized together with children, including the development of child-led awareness material on violence against children. Awareness-raising activities could reach out to children, professionals, but also the general public, media, and or decision makers. Now, let me add some important extra information, some caveats, if you like. Funded activities carried out by sub-grantees must take place in one of the 9 target countries and during the project implementation period. The project implementation can be between 12 and 18 months, starting from the 1st of April 2025. Earlier starting dates would need to be agreed with Eurochild and cannot be before the signature date of the grant agreement between Eurochild and the sub-grantee. Projects must include children's participation in design, delivery, and evaluation activities. Also, applicants can include national branches of translational or umbrella networks. This is quite an important information as well. And organizations may submit more than one proposal, but please note that only one project per organization will be, in the end, selected for funding. For more information, please see again the call for proposal for summarized version in all programs languages, and the full operational manual and the glossary of terms related to violence against children. In this slide, you can find a summary of the timeline for applicants that we've talked earlier. I would only like to add another piece of information which hasn't been mentioned before. Help desk support will be offered to applicants with interesting proposals which were not assessed highly but fall short of final selection. And this is really to align with the spirit of this sub-granting scheme, which is about empowering and building the capacity of civil society organizations in the sector. So through this help desk support, we will support to develop and resubmit fully fledged applicants that will be eligible for funding. In the case, I repeat, of proposals that assess highly but fall short of final selection. Now, it's time for you to ask your questions through the Q&A chat, and Ciaran and I will reply to questions submitted through the Q&A function. And again, I want to remind you that full written answers will be shared after the discussion.
Looking at our Q&A, been busy typing quite a few answers just now. But let's see what questions we have and they want to answer. I think answer a lot. We've had a few questions asking what do we mean by small and big organizations. I feel like that's clarified. Would you like to repeat that point again, just to really bring it home?
Yeah. So one way of looking at small and local level organizations is by considering the number of full-time employees. So we would appreciate organizations smaller than 11 full-time employees, but we made we will be flexible in assessing this requirement because we don't want to prevent organizations from applying. So the selection committee will reserve the right to assess case by case.
Good. Then next question we have here on the specific requirements for obtaining informed consent from children and legal representatives to participate in project development. And then other recommended protocols for ensuring children's psychological safety when engaging in discussions, specific tools and methodologies will the program recommend. So it's about safeguarding, the safeguarding process. As part of the funding program, child protection and safeguarding is hugely important. Full stop. During the selection and assessment process, once projects are selected, your child's child participation team will be working with each of the projects on a child safeguarding process. We have an assessment tool that we have here in EuroChat, and we'll be using that to make sure that everything is clear and in check, and where we are preparing for eventual interactions with children, ensuring safety and appropriate safeguarding procedures are in place. So more specifics to come at a later stage. But yes, we do have those processes in mind. So thank you for that question. Okay, next. Yeah, we finished here. This and this. Then concrete examples of activities in the field of prevention, protection, capacity building. We have a couple of examples.
Yeah, so in addition to what was already mentioned, I think it's really important to keep in mind a focus on marginalized groups and activities such as indeed participation, protection, capacity building, networking, cooperation, and the integrated systems approach to child protection. And really to keep in mind the aim, which is about improving child protection through protection and addressing violence, developing capacities, creating and or strengthening networks, sharing and informing regional institutions, and keep in mind that child participation mainstream should happen throughout all the above activities.
Great. Also, for example, there are many different types of projects that we might be able to fund, but you could be looking at projects that are looking to address peer-to-peer violence in a school setting through a group of children that you are working with in your community example. Or you could be looking at more national awareness building campaigns as well, using a very community-based approach too. So there is quite a broad range of activities that can be supported through the project grants. Next question. Hopefully that's satisfied. Then we are here. So here's a question that has come from other contexts as well. We are a small NGO registered in Malta. We're active in Slovakia, Hungary, and in Ukraine. We plan to implement a program in Ukraine. Are we eligible? We are, I think, there's quite a few organizations who are looking at that. The principle and the priority of this program is to support local level civil society organizations. Agatha has described how we can support different activities from larger organizations who are working at a very local level. I would think that this logic, the same principle applies to this question. You are welcome to submit an application, but I do want to stress priority is supporting local level, smaller civil society organizations, no matter the context and no matter the country of operation as well. Thanks. Then, let's see. Will the public organizations receive funds in the national currency or in what currency? This is a good question. I think we are in euros. Yeah. All our financial management here in Eurochild is based in euro, and indeed the funds will be dispersed through euro as well. But it is a good question because this is a learning exercise for us in Eurochild as well. We're very excited to be on that journey with you all. Then we have some concrete activities and provided examples of capacity building activities. Are capacity building activities that need to hire external experts eligible? Yes, so in your eventual budget for the project, there is capacity, there is scope for you to hire a consultant or someone to work with you on a very specific amount of days. And when it comes to the budget stage, so submitting a full budget, that'll come in the second stage of the application process. So there will be clear lines where you can add those types of activities or funding. Yeah. Another question that's got a few times is how many projects will be funded per country on average. So we're working across 9 countries. We have 1.3 million euro to disperse in funding in total through this program. As Agatha has shared, the budget range is between 10,000 to 30,000 euro for projects of approximately 12 to 18 months. So some proposals that we eventually fund may look for a budget less than 30,000 euro. And if that is the case, we will be able to fund more projects per country, but we are really trying to aim for equal distribution of funding across each of the countries as well. So when we do our own calculations, at a minimum, we're looking to fund 5 organizations per country, a total of 45 as a minimum. But we anticipate we may receive applications for some less than 30,000, and we'll do what we can to make sure we use all the funding to support more projects. Is there a specific template for a proposal? I've seen this from a few people as well. Yes, there is. We have on our program website, which you will hopefully have received or come to, and you can see on the screen. We have the link here as well. You can find a link to the call application page where you will find the expression of interest form. It is a short application form where you need to outline your ideas, as Agatha has outlined as well. And then there also on that page, you will see the call for proposals in the different languages. You'll see the operational manual, which gives a full detail of the program breakdown as well. And this should provide you all the information you will need to submit your expression of interest, including more detail, more ideas for activities as well that you can submit.
But indeed, yes, there is an online application form that you can already look from the website, and the link is here on this slide as well.
Very good. What is the ideal number of beneficiaries, respectively children, for this call to be involved in the project? From Georgiana. Georgiana, there is no ideal number of beneficiaries. There is no, we do not have a very set frame for who we want to fund and what activity we want to fund. We want to really look at it within what we receive, with a balance across the proposals we receive as well. So I wouldn't say there is an ideal either or not. We're looking for quality, not quantity. Of course, we're all here to try support the improved outcomes of children, in this case, specifically those who've experienced violence or prevent violence against children, but we do not have a specific limit or amount you should be looking at supporting when it comes to children here. Really, it's about quality. So what are we expected to submit in a full proposal? Detailed budget, log frame, narrative, indicators. This is from Olga and Concordia. Agatha, do you want to?
Yes, so we will definitely provide a budget form with the indication, and then elaborate more on the activities, but then also we will be more specific in the questions, because as I said, we have agreed, we are finalizing our selection criteria, which are around relevance of the project, operational capacity of the submitting application, robustness of mitigation risks. So a number of criteria that will be made available to shortlisted applicants, and then this will be reflected in the questions will be asked in the full application. So this, as we said, will come next and will only concern the shortlisted applicants.
Would you mind going back to the slide with the expression of interest in this as well? I think since a lot of questions are about this. Thanks, Olga. Stage 1 here. Yeah. Okay. The next question from Anastasia. Is it possible for a project to last less than 12 months? I think so, but I do want to stress, so what Agatha mentioned as well is the granting and also capacity building program, and all eventual applicants who will receive funding will also need to participate in the capacity building program activities. These will go beyond 12 months from April. These will go beyond 12 months. So as that's something that we will have to discuss. We can discuss that bilaterally one-on-one if you want to contact me by email with your ideas, or once you are submitting your expression of interest as well. Thanks.
I think it's important also to say that we are welcoming, in a sense, quite long projects, as opposed to very short projects. So yes, in principle, it can be possible to run a project below 12 months, but the idea is to have longer projects funded.
Okay, great. So Judith, let's see. If an organization does not work directly with children so far, but will in the future, will that count? I would say that would definitely disadvantage your application. We are really looking for working with projects and supporting activities who have a history or a demonstrable experience of working meaningfully with children in their activities. So this would be an important point as well. You are welcome to express an interest, and of course, depending on the idea, but in principle, we are looking to prioritize those who already have a history of working with children. So we know we can trust and be ensured that children will be safe in the course of these activities. Yeah. This one. So.
No, I think I saw someone. Oh, sorry.
So another question. Let's see which activities can be supported as we have done. When you say direct work with children, do you mean a formalized licensed service or not? Is it enough that the organization has worked with children in a strategic approach, i.e. they're one of the target groups? Yeah.
I think that the second one, it's enough that organization has worked with children in a strategic approach. For example, they are one of the target groups.
Yeah. But the principle of the program is there is an important element of the child participation element. So having a participative approach to how you work with children, this is also very important part of this activity. How you can do that in the course of your activities that you are looking to do, we are also open to different suggestions coming from your approaches. If you are saying you want to work with children in a strategic way as part of your decision making as an organization, this is something that we have a history of doing in our organization. That's something that can also be part of a project activity as well. Then, should organizations apply alone or with some partners in indicated countries? There is nothing to say that you can or cannot apply with other partners. No, absolutely not. It's joint applications are welcome. However, just flagging the budget is at an individual project level. I would say it's going to be quite challenging for you to apply if you have 2 to 3 to 4 partners splitting €30,000. It's something that I don't know if it'll be very feasible. But if you have an idea and a concept where that might work, we're very open to hearing it. Is there a limit for the budget of the organizations? From Judith translated for Iranian. Is there a limit of the budget of the organization? We would need more information on this question. Do you mean, is there a certain threshold at which your organization needs to have finances before it can be eligible to apply? Or what? We need to get more information there. So then we have the opportunity to fund for 10 to 30,000 euro. Can you please ask, in those costs are included costs of transportation or accommodation for external partners? The cost in your budgets, which we will be able to go into more breakdown with when it's the final budget stage in the second stage of application. However, the costs will include activities in relation to the delivery of activities for this project. So external partners, it would have to depend very clearly on what that relates to your actual project goals. If you are organizing an activity, a national awareness raising session, and you need to provide accommodation for people to attend and participate, this could be something that could be foreseen as part of the budget for the activity. If you are looking to use this to support your organization's ability to participate in events related to this topic, it's a bit less clear for me if that would work.
And still on the budget, is there a limit of the budget an application should have? Yes, it's between 10 and 30,000 euros. So these are the low and up limits.
Yeah. Then
this is a reply.
Yeah. I understand you were saying the activity should be with children at a community level, but you mentioned you could do national awareness activity. Yes, thank you, Catherine. So activities, we are with the interventions we are looking to support, projects we are looking to fund with this activity, with this program. We are prioritizing organizations who are working with children at a community level. So that means organizations who are local based. If your activity that you wish to do as part of your project involves national level awareness raising. So for example, if you are from Limerick in Ireland, where I'm from, and you're looking to do a project with local children in Limerick in Ireland, and then part of that activity would be an event or a moment where you go and speak to politicians at the national capital in Dublin. This could be something where you would be able to have a national awareness raising activity. However, the central point must be at the community level actions with the groups of children, the organizations, stakeholders you want to work with. Can we clarify if a medium organization, approximately 80, can apply for a local level project under this? The local team is 1.5 persons, translated by Judith. This is precisely why Agatha has shared, we have a clause to allow for organizations to apply, even if they are larger organizations with working at a local level. It's precisely this type of activity we don't want to exclude through our funding program. With the principles that we want to prioritize local level and smaller based organizations who have a harder time accessing funding. This is the principle of this funding program. If you're a national based organization with a larger staff pool, for example, but you have a very local level team where you have 1.5, 2 people working, we do want to hear from you. So please do consider submitting an application. If you have any questions on your application, you can always reach out to me. My email is in the chat and also is in the slides, and you'll be receiving that afterwards as well. Are there budget limitations for events, for example?
I mean, I think this kind of details will be available in the budget form, which will come at second stage.
Yeah. Would an organization that was founded many years ago, but was inactive for the past few years, so there's no activity or financial reports since 2020, be eligible to apply? The organization is now under new management as of this month. with a highly competent team and extensive expertise in child protection, revised mission and objectives, and a clear purpose for child protection, and so on. This would be really a case by case basis.
I think nothing is saying that you shouldn't send an expression of interest. So I think an expression of interest is welcome. And then, of course, when we go into the stage 2, we will do a more robust reliability check, and that's where this kind of things will come in, I would say.
So, is it possible to fund from Cosmos? Is it possible to fund regranting activity? I would need more information to understand what exactly it is you mean when you're asking me the possible to fund regranting activity. This program is in essence a regranting program, and so does the situation analysis related to the consultation of children need to be documented when submitting the initial proposal? So Judith translated from Romanian. There is the situation analysis. So there is what we are asking in our expression of interest is a very short summary of what the problem is that you wish to address in your project activities. This is something that you could include some form of a situation analysis and overview of the context in which you are operating and wanting to work with children or working on addressing violence against children in your program.
Is there a limit in the number of words similar in the expression of letter?
Yes. The application form for the expression of interest is you have a couple of questions where you can enter more than just one line, and the limits are 100, 200 words max. So quite short, and also does not by all means need to be at that limit. It's more really a case of giving a short summary. Then, do projects need to be structured so that products are able to be used or disseminated at local, national, EU level? In other words, what should the approach be in dissemination of funded projects? From Erin. I did a really good question. So for this program, managed by Eurochild and TEDxAN Foundation, we as program managers are taking it upon our work to disseminate and share the activities that are being done through the projects we will eventually support. At the international level, TEDxAN will be supporting the dissemination of your activities through our different channels. The program website where you can access the call, we will also use that to share information about the eventual funded projects and highlight good practices and activities and people involved in those organizations through podcasts, through interviews, through newsletters, and so on. Eurochild, we work here in Brussels in Belgium, and we work to inform and influence how the European Union is making decisions as they relate to children. We will be building on the evidence from these projects to sharing those with policymakers at the European level as well. Then, for local-based and national dissemination activities, this could be a space where we can work together, or we can try to amplify the work of the projects. And as part of your projects, one of the activities may be focused around sharing, disseminating the activities. But that is a choice that you can make in your project proposal. You do not need to have dissemination as part of your project activities. It's dependent on what type of activity you want to
and I see there's a question, how will it be the funding? 80, 20%? So all these details are very well explained in the manual for sub-granting. So the full details are there. And in essence, we will do three installment payments, basically. And there will be also narrative and financial report, mid-term report.
Do we need to work on local level in one country, or can we work in multiple cities from Alma? So Alma, I would say to this, you can work in multiple cities and multiple locations. It depends on your project and depending on what you want to do. We're very interested to hear from you about what your suggestions might be. Thank you.
And someone is asking, could you please tell me whether travel expenses for the implementation of project activities can be included in the budget? Yes, definitely. Definitely. They should be included in the budget.
Yeah. And just to also be clear, and can funds be included for insurance of teenagers for activities? Yes, absolutely. if it's in relation to children participating, for sure, these things can be considered. Thank you, Victoria. Can we use the funds for co-funding? The organization has other funder, publics and privates. Please do this in Romania. In principle, these activities you can co-finance. These projects can be linked with other projects that you are financed for. But can this be used as reserve funding to support your larger organization's work? No, it needs to be very clear that these funds are going to support a dedicated program or a project activities with an agreed work packages and log frames and so on. So we would need to see that the funding is going to support your activities directly to address violence against children through the different ways and modalities we have talked about today.
Is it an ongoing project eligible for funding?
So, is an ongoing project eligible for funding? For example, have you been working on an activity for the last year? Your funding is coming to an end, and this looks like this could be a good way to continue those activities. This is precisely what we hope to support through our grant. This can be supported on the project, and also makes for a great case of a situation analysis or overview. We're very keen to hear from you on this as well. Thank you. So we have a couple of minutes left. We'll try and get through what we can. So Katarina, can you specify the requirements for the number of employees? We have some that are full-time employees and we have some that are hired in different contracts. So when we, in the call for proposals and the operation manual, we talk about 11 full-time equivalent. This is 11 full-time equivalent to 100% people. So if you look at that as 1100% of staff time. If you have specifically, like Agatha has mentioned, we want to be open to organizations who may have more staff than that, but are working at the local level, or who don't fall neatly into that category as well. We do want to hear from you. You can get in contact with me directly by email, which is on the screen again, or you can submit an expression of interest with these specifics also highlighted as well. Then going back. Laura from Portugal, I think, is it possible to submit health-related costs or expenses? We would need to hear more what you mean by this. Laura, please, if you can follow up an email, that would be great. Then Twitter asked a question in Spanish, but I know from translating this earlier, this is about co-financing. Co-financing is these activities can be supported by other activities as part of a co-financing puzzle box. But if you have specific questions, feel free to answer. We can take it case by case. And Tanya, what evidence is necessary to prove that children were participating in design? This is indeed, the involvement of children in the design of project activities is something that will be quite challenging for some applicants to evidence, and we will be looking at this as it evolves to be expressions of interest. With the Eurochild Child Participation Team in mind, we have them on hand, and we are involving children in some of the selection process as well for these projects. And we will be looking about how organizations can demonstrate intent to work with children meaningfully, where children might be involved in drafting concept ideas. For example, if you are, as part of your situation analysis, you're working with a group of children in your community, you discuss with them what might be the needs they have. This is also part of the informing of your project proposal idea. Okay, we are at time. We have a couple of other questions left, but some of them are more specific about actual content, and some of them are more about other questions that we've already answered. We will take track of all 60 questions we've had in the course of this session, and we will share the answers to them as simplified as we can online as well on the call channel. We really, really hope this has provided you with enough information to feel empowered to submit your expression of interest. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us via the email on the slides right now. And really to stress, the expression of interest is due on November the 14th at 5 p.m. CET. No applications after that time will be accepted. And we are really looking forward to hearing from you all very soon. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, thank you. Agatha, over to you to give some closing remarks.
Yes. Before closing, we really want also to encourage you to sign up to the newsletter. So this way we can continue to inform each other, and you will know when we produce new resources, when we will organize learning opportunities and events in the coming months and years. So please do sign up to the newsletter. For now, I'd like to say a few final words of thanks. First and foremost, to our partners being part of this journey from the beginning, in particular, Judith Nemet Almasi and Sofia Karetka in Terre des Hommes. I'd like to thank each of our national focal point, each of the 4 advisory board experts. I like also to thank representatives from the Eurochild Children's Council, and a huge thank you to the European Commission for their support. And then last but not least, a huge thank you to Eurochild colleagues, without whose enormous commitment and dedication and willingness to go this extra mile, the implementation of this big program would not be possible. And a special thank you goes to Ciaran, my colleague, for providing the technical help desk support and being always there to support civil society leaders to understand better, to clarify doubts. And again, you have Ciaran's contact details on this email. And finally, a big thank you to you, to our audience. Please stay in touch, subscribe to our newsletter, and we look forward to receiving your expression of interest by November 14th. We hope we have interested you and attract your curiosity with this session today. Thank you very much on behalf of both of us, and talk to you by email. Bye-bye.
Take care all. Have a lovely day.